Hi! Welcome back to Books, Tea and Biscuits with me, Jo.
And me, Kim.
Today we're going to be reviewing our swapsies. If you remember, Kim gave me Book of Night by Holly Black.
And Jo gave me, which she got a book from her friend Pamela, she gave me Two Wrongs by Rebecca Reid. And this is the much anticipated video you've all been waiting for. This is our book exchange. So Jo, you take it away first with yours and what you thought. And then let me know at the end if you think I'm going to like it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read a few bits out first. Even your shadow can be stolen is the theme of this book. Yes, I'm using my glasses again. Yay! Okay. Lee Bardugo, the Sunday Times best-selling author of Ninth House, he put dark, strange, thick with mystery and twists, a story so believable in its magic you'll be keeping one eye on your shadow. James Rowlands, New York Times best-selling author of The Starless Crown. If Neil Gaiman channeled Stephen King, the result might be this book. Paolo, sorry about this pronunciation, I don't speak Italiano. Bacigalupi. Paolo Bacigalupi. Sorry, I know I can't pronounce it. New York Times best-selling author of The Water Knife, a deliciously clever page-turner. V.E. Schwab, Sunday Times best-selling author of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Holly Black is a master of fantasy with the Midas touch. There is no story she cannot turn to gold. And finally, a delicious dark adrenaline rush of a book. I'm already dying to see Charlie Hall's next con. And that's Alex E. Harrow, Sunday Times best-selling author of The Once and Future Witches. This book is definitely like no other I've read. I like a lot of sci-fi fantasy, but I also like stuff on witchcraft and the unknown and magic. And this, as a Book of Night, is about your shadows. This story, the protagonist is a young girl. I think her name's Charlie Hall, yeah. And everything she does is wrong. And when she's young, her stepfather is not a nice person and he beats her and beats her sister. So they're trying to get their mum to get rid of him. So she creates a lie, but she's very clever at it. And that is, she makes out that she can communicate with the spirit world, and there's this spirit who's telling her all about him. And eventually, after a time, her mum starts to believe about this spirit and gets rid of her stepdad. And then she gets involved with another chap who realises that Charlie's a very good con artist. She's a natural. So he takes her and he teaches her. And so her life, her adult life, is conning people, lying, cheating, stealing. And then one day she decides she's not going to do it anymore and she gets a proper job. Her sister wants her shadow to be able to do all sorts of things. Doesn't want her shadow to stay put, she wants her shadow to make her magical. And this leads into a whole different world of violence. Her boyfriend is not who she thinks he is, and it turns out in this book that the main person in this story is her boyfriend.
Oh.
And though she seems to be the protagonist, there's a lot about him that you find out. It is a very good book. I know there was a lot of reviews, you told me, and you sent me a few, that barely gave this a 1 or a 2. Now, this book, unless you know all about the Cabal, and this book invokes the Cabal, it's quite an unusual book. It takes you on a journey that you didn't think you'd have, and it's about your shadow. The last thing that you're going to think about is that your shadow can leave you, that your shadow goes elsewhere and can cause all sorts of havoc. So it is a very good book. I do think you need to read it, to be honest.
Okay, I will.
It's an amazing book. I really enjoyed every bit of it, and I read it in a very short space of time because I couldn't put it down.
Is it a page turner then?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Is it a page turner? You think, oh, I'll read this bit, and you think, what happens next? So you've got to carry on reading it, and you can't really put it. And even if you do have to put it down, you can't wait to pick it up again.
Okay.
And it is a wonderful book. It really is. Very spooky, quite unusual. There is violence in it. There's some intimacy, but it's not bad taste. You know what I mean? There's no bad taste. And it's a definite 5.
Okay, good.
Definite 5. I don't know what those other people were reading, unless maybe they just didn't interpret what she was on about.
Yeah, well, I think some people, and this is just my opinion obviously, a lot of people nowadays in the ether, in the book ether, they just read for the trend of reading and having nice books on their shelf, not for the understanding the actual story, which is what I like to read for. Like, I don't read for trendiness. So if I see a book that I like, I'll pick it up and read it. Yeah. Just because, you know, my favourite author's got a new book written doesn't mean I'm going to pick it up instantaneously, because again, I'm trying to stop consumerism on a mass scale. So I'll just read.
It is a good book.
I did pick that up in all honesty because I was in Waterstones, and I didn't pick it up because of the trend. I picked it up because of the edges of the book. They're quite celestial.
They are.
And for $16.99, I thought, yeah, I'm really going to enjoy it. And then I started to see all reviews. But I brought that when it was quite new out. That's why I got the hardback edition. And then the reviews put me off, but obviously I'm going to trust Joe's opinion more than what I read.
I've always been one of these people that I'll look at a review and I think, yeah, okay, that's your opinion. I'm not going to take your review. I'm going to read it and see for myself. If it turns out and I think, well, yeah, you're right, fair enough, but otherwise, it's like with films, when you watch a film and the critics have panned it, yet you go and see it and you think, have they been watching the same film because this is really good? So I'm the same with books.
Okay.
And yeah, you need to read this. I do recommend this for everybody if you want an interesting, unusual form of book.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Joe. The book I'm going to be reviewing again is Two Wrongs by Rebecca Reid. Now, Joe gave me this book. It was quite a quick read actually. It took me a bit longer than what it did for Joe to read that book because obviously I'm working and I'm crocheting as well. I read this in a few sittings. So I'm just going to read the back to you so you can get a premise of what it's saying and what the book's about, and then I'll go into my actual review. So again, the book's called Two Wrongs, and it says, how far would you go to correct your worst mistake? When Chloe goes to university and meets wild, carefree Zadie, she is utterly seduced by her and her lifestyle. It doesn't take long for Chloe to ditch her studies in favour of all-night parties at Zadie's huge house off campus. But when something goes badly wrong one night and Zadie disappears in the aftermath, Chloe knows she should have she should have done more to help her friend. It's something she'll always regret. 15 years later, Chloe finally gets a chance to make it right, but in order to do so, she'll have to put everything at stake. And then some reviews from some other authors or critics. So Jane Corrie has said, this will haunt you long after you finish. Sarah Jane Norton, I adored every second of it, and Lauren North, disturbing and brilliant. So this book, the protagonist is called Chloe, and the book is written in 2 points of view. So it's Chloe then, Chloe now, and then her friend Zadie. When Zadie's writing or speaking, the writing is in italic, so you know that, well, it says her name anyway at the top of the chapter, but I'll show you. When Zadie's speaking, it's in a different font altogether. There's not many of them in here, but when it's in Zadie's point of view, like this one here, the font is different. And I like that because, again, it's not all the same text. It splits it apart. So I really loved it going into it because I like the dual point of view, the dual timelines as well. So it starts off about, you know, the friends meet up at university and they're leading very different lifestyles. Chloe's more neat and organised, and some would say quite boring, whereas, you know, I'd say sharing a room in quotation marks. Her roommate, it should be Zadie, but Zadie's living with her boyfriend off campus in a huge house because he's really rich and he's a rugby player. But, you know, some would say that Zadie's a bad influence, and they go down this path of, like, not self-destruct but carefree and wildness, and something happens at a party one night and then Zadie just disappears off the face of the earth. No contact, not answering the phone, her family aren't answering emails, Chloe's looking after her. And then in the present day, it's 15 years later since this disappearance happened, and Chloe is still with her university boyfriend, and, you know, her university boyfriend is still friends with Zadie's boyfriend that she had at university, but he's really pompous and really obnoxious. But you actually find out why Chloe dislikes him, and what happens at the end, and how they become friends, and what actually happened to Zadie. And I tell you what, it's shocking. You don't see it coming, it just hits you in the face, doesn't it? So when you find out what the plot is, you think, were there any flags, any foreshadowing about the actual plot? And there actually is. You realise that throughout the story it's telling you who is responsible, what has happened. But yeah, it's shocking in itself. I didn't expect the plot twist, as you know, I just said. I didn't expect the ending. I read the acknowledgements as well, so I read this from cover to cover. It even shows you some of the books that she's written. So she's written Perfect Liars and Truth Hurts as well. But yeah, this, again, a lot of people won't be able to relate to this because, you know, I had friends at uni and I haven't fallen out with them, but you know, when things happen and you're like, oh my god, I wish I could have done something to stop that or to change that. But yeah, I mean, we all lose friends, we all have friends, but this is scary. So, you know, something happens and you don't know what to do, you can't find the person. Could you have done something to stop it? Could you have seen it coming? Should that have happened? Should this have happened? And you question your own sanity at some points because you're thinking that this is what's going to happen next and it doesn't happen. But for me, I would give this definitely a 5 stars. Yeah, it's very, very difficult for me to give books 5 stars unless it really touches me and it really keeps me intrigued, but I give this a 5 stars. I really, really liked it. So Pamela, thank you for the suggestion. I really enjoyed that book.
Any more, Pam? Bring them my way.
Yeah, because we love stuff like this. So, what are we going to do with this version now? Do you want it back or shall we give it to a charity shop?
We could give it to a charity shop.
And pass it on to other people. Yes, that's
Pass
what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to be reading back my own version of Book of Night, based on Joe's opinion. So I'm going to be reading the book I'm currently reading, and then I'll read this one. And this is going to go to the charity shop. So I don't throw books away, I give them to the charity shop. So that's going back to the charity shop. What's your next one you're reviewing, Joe?
Elizabeth is Missing. Now, I did mention that I had a few difficulties actually starting to read this, and my third go, I did it a very unusual way. I read the first chapter to the cat. I know that sounds crazy, but it helped me start to read it and start to get into it, and the cat was enjoying it. This is a book about a Lady Maud. Now, this has been made into a film or a TV series, and the wonderful, wonderful late Glenda Jackson played Maud.
I've seen the film.
And she did this with, you know, how she is. She's an amazing actress, and it's sad that she's gone now. But Elizabeth is Missing. Elizabeth is Maud's best ever friend. And also in Maud's younger life, when she was a younger little girl, her sister Suki went missing. Suki was married to a bit of a rogue, not a particularly nice man, but not a particularly bad man, you think. During the war, he dealt with black market stuff. Her dad didn't like him at all because he'd got an idea of what he was doing. There is a woman in this, she's sort of from the outskirts, she's mentioned and they call her the Mad Woman. And when Suki went missing, she saw it all. She saw what happened to Suki. So in between, I mean, what I liked about this book, this is a book that everybody who is involved, either caring for somebody with dementia or has a friend that has Alzheimer's and has developed dementia, should read this, because the way she's written it is amazing. You can then feel for Maud. She goes off on a tangent, she starts thinking of stuff, and then something takes her out of it, her memory goes elsewhere, and it's a brilliant read, it really is. She is determined to find Elizabeth. She knows where Elizabeth is, but she's forgotten because of her condition. She keeps phoning the police, and she'll phone Elizabeth's son, and she'll go around and she'll, she's causing all sorts of mayhem, bless her, because Elizabeth is missing. And they eventually find Suki. It's sad, it's funny in parts, but not many, and it's brutally honest about dementia. This is everybody's guide. It really is. The way it's written, it's just wonderful. It really is. I'll give you an indication. Maggie O'Farrell meets Gone Girl, a gripping detective yarn, poignant and darkly comic, that's The Observer. Ruth Rendell, but I've never read anything like it. The Sunday Times, harrowing, touching and hugely memorable, no conventional crime novel, but a compelling work that crosses literary genres. And it does, you can't help but read. I read this in less than a week because I was reading all night. Once I started reading this, I did not want to put it down. It is compelling, it is amazing. One of those mythical beasts, the book you cannot put down, by Jonathan Coe said that, and the Evening Standard, tender, fascinating, compelling and charming. Maud is forgetful. She makes a cup of tea and doesn't remember to drink it. She goes to the shops and forgets why she went. Sometimes her home is unrecognisable, or her daughter Helen seems a total stranger. But there's one thing Maud is sure of, her friend Elizabeth is missing. The note in her pocket tells her so, and no matter who tells her to stop going on about it, to leave it alone, to shut up, Maud will get to the bottom of it. Because somewhere in Maud's damaged mind lies the answer to an unsolved 70-year-old mystery, one everyone has forgotten about. Everyone except Maud. And that mystery is Suki. It's tied up with Elizabeth because Elizabeth is missing, and you go back to her childhood when Suki was missing. It really is an amazing, and this was her first, because she'd done, it's her first book.
I read it, but I don't know if it's the first one.
Yeah, I read somewhere in here that it was her first book, and if it is her first book,
she's bloody good, ain't she?
She is a cracking authoress, and yeah, if I could give this 10, I would, and everybody that's had dealings with dementia and Alzheimer's, read this because you will recognise Maud totally.
Yeah, it touches where it needs to, doesn't it?
It does, and it just keeps you going, and she solves the murder. Considering she's got dementia, she solves the murder that nobody could solve. It's brilliant, Reid.
And Emma Healy packs so much into such a small book, because it's not a huge book.
No. No, it's not. But the description, the way she talks, the way Maud's talking, the way she gets all these little notes out, and she's going, Elizabeth is missing, or she'll look and see all these rows of cups of tea, and someone will say, she'll go, I didn't do it, because she genuinely doesn't think she's done it, and it's just compelling. It really is the perfect way of describing Alzheimer's.
Yes, and we both read it, and obviously it touches us in different ways, but it was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely recommended in a top 10 list.
Okay, good. Thank you for that one. Okay, so the next one I'm reviewing is an audiobook that I listened to, another audiobook. But it's obviously one that touched me in different ways. So it's A Life on Our Planet by David Attenborough. Now, if you've read this, the guy's an absolute genius. Everybody loves him anyway. He's the the person everyone thinks of when, you know, people are talking about the planet, the climate change, how we can fix it. And, you know, I'm sick of hearing really the age-old saying of, oh my God, what's going to happen when David Attenborough passes away? You know, it shouldn't be on his shoulders, but he is the forefront of this. And I read the book, well, I say read, I listened to the audiobook, and it's narrated in his voice, so that touches me anyway. But it's all about his life through, obviously, seeing the changes of the climate and the planet, and, you know, how we as human species are destroying this planet. And I'm not going to keep on, and this isn't a, you know, a sermon of me telling you to change our ways, but the book made me cry. It made me cry because we realise, you know, in one person's lifetime, from, I believe it was 1930s, 40s, whenever the book started, I can't remember, it was such a while ago since I've listened to it. He describes how his memory of, you know, there being 2 billion people in the world, there was like 79% of the world's forestry, animals, insects, you know, and how throughout the book the years go on, the population expands, the forest dwindles, and now we're down to only 35%, I believe it is, 35% of the world's forest, trees, everything it needs to survive, to produce oxygen, you know, the biodiversity on this planet can still be saved. You know, we can change our ways and we can really fix it. And, you know, listening to that really got me thinking. So that's why I'm just trying to now just be the best that I can be, even though I wasn't bad before. Even realising, looking at my bookshelf and realising, you know what, you don't need to buy books when they're brand new out. You can wait for a bit, you can buy them second hand. You don't need to do this or do that. You don't need to have a petrol car now or drive an electric car. And that's got me thinking, because there's me thinking that I'm doing better for the planet. But what it took to build that electric car, to create that battery in that car, and what it is now to use the electric from my house to, you know, charge my car, is not bad, but we're destroying this world to create the batteries for the cars. And, you know, people think that it's better to drive an electric car, but that's not always the case. There's always pros and cons to everything, and this gets you thinking about, you know, what we can do to stop it, how we can help, and it really, really touched me. And, you know, I'll always recommend it to everybody. If I could give it 10 stars, I would. You know, David Attenborough's 96 now, I believe. He's not getting any younger, so what will happen when he passes away? Who are people going to listen to? Because he is a person that people think of, you know, oh my God, what can we do? Look at the planet, Blue Planet, A Life on Our Planet, that one he did in Chernobyl, where, you know, you see the city thriving because humans aren't there to destroy it. The book made me cry, and I didn't realise how much I would like it. But yeah, I like it, I recommend it. I think if you out there, if you're David Attenborough fans, even if you're not David Attenborough fans, please just read the book so you can understand the message he's trying to put across. He's a national treasure. He'll always have a place in my heart for that, and the day he passes away, I think I will need a day off work. So yeah, 5 stars out of, well, 10 stars out of 5 from me. Have you ever read it?
No.
Would you want to read it?
I don't know. Maybe. I've never really thought about it.
It will touch you if you read it, but I think you'll be on probably a different opinion than me, but I loved it, and I knew what I was going to think going into it anyway. But, you know, I've always tried to be eco-friendly where I can. Yeah. But you don't realise what it is you're doing until you do it.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But yeah, it's I was going to buy the book to read it, but I thought, no, Kim, don't. Listen to it on audiobook. Because I'm not doing anything to the planet, I'm driving my car anyway. I'm listening to him narrate the book, and it was really good.
I would imagine listening to him, because he has got a nice voice. I do like listening to David Attenborough.
He's got that voice, hasn't he? Really soothing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the voice is soothing and you think, oh, this is so good, it makes you cry. It really does. Not in a bad way, but because of the realisation of, you know, Is there anything
you're getting
after a
proper
lifetime?
figures, and instead of saying, well, I assume, or it's approximately, you get, well, this is the percent. He knows the figures.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's my review on A Life on Our Planet by David Attenborough.
Great. Cheers for that.
It's alright. I hope I haven't bored you all, because I know that some people don't want to hear it, what I just said, but there I said it. I like
when you were doing a review, and you've got to be honest.
And that's my honest.
You can't just sort of say, well, this is what it was about, it was good, because that tells nobody anything.
No.
You know, you have to be passionate about what you're reading.
And I did like that. I think when we did our first video back, welcome back, I think David Attenborough, the audiobook, was the first one I've read and listened to. But I haven't quite finished it when we did the first book review. So I was like, no, I'll put it off, because I didn't quite know how to sum it up. But now I've had to think about it, and obviously I've had a tough week, so I've had time to think about it and how I really felt about the book.
Yeah.
And I think even if you read it, Joe, even in the near future, it doesn't have to be for this channel, but if you want to read it for pleasure, I think you'll come to a similar, because we quite know and we're quite au fait with each other's opinions and knowledge and stuff. So I think you will enjoy it, but you will have similar opinions to me. You could not, but there are some in there, some chapters when you think, oh my God, is that really happening? Are we really destroying this planet? And the answer is yes.
No, we've been destroying it for years, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so next week, I've got to get this right. The reviews are going to be...
Mine's going to be Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Neuvel.
And?
It's going to be The Velveteen Rabbit, which is really, really thin book, but I really love it, and I have since I was a little girl, so I wanted to read that one for a little bit of laugh and coziness.
Right, and I'm going to be reviewing Wuthering Heights, which we know is a classic, and finally I'm going to be reviewing Cats in Space.
They had more mention in our videos than anything else.
I know, but it's their first book, and it's brilliant, and it's for the music lover, anybody who loves music, especially 70s stuff. So I'm going to be reviewing Wuthering Heights, and I'm going to be reviewing Cats in Space, which I still think they've got 1 or 2 books on their website, which is www.catsinspace.co.uk. Yay! And they are touring, if the trains allow. They're going to Bracknell, 20th of July, Lancaster, 21st of July, and Hexham the 22nd of July, and then they have a break, and then they start again in September. So those are the books I'm going to be reviewing: classic and rock.
This is going to be an interesting review for me. I've only started to read the first bit, but it's a sci-fi, but it's meant to be really good, so I can't wait. And it's different dual point of views again.
Good. That looks like a question and answer.
Yeah. So I can't wait to finish reading it even.
Well, you've started to get you've done well with the sci-fi so far.
Don't like a lot of sci-fi,
but the 2 you've read.
I couldn't read Pandora's Star by Peter Hamilton. It's about that thing, and it's a space opera. That's not my liking. But when they're quite small books like this, and I've got,
and there's a good story.
And there's a good story to it, and it's not all about
silly stuff,
silly things in space, worlds that I can't even fathom.
Yeah, like Star Wars.
Yeah,
I knew she was talking about Star Wars.
But can't wait to finish it and let you know what I thought. It looks like it's going to be a fast read. Haven't got any crochet projects to do this week because I finished the one I sent you today. I've just got to attach that to its doll now, and then that'll be done. So hopefully I can spend most of the time reading this, drinking a cup of tea, eating biscuits.
Where today we've got Coke because it's hot.
Yeah, 27 degrees in my car.
Oh God. So we've got Coke, chocolate and books.
And I just want to show you the chocolate really quick. So I know it's not a chocolate channel or a review channel, but I buy the Chocolate Smiths chocolate, and this is the Royal Gardeners bar. And the Chocolate Smiths are a Geordie chocolate company. Now, Joe knows me, and Joe knows I'm really fussy with the chocolate. There's a lot of chocolate I don't like. I only like Cadbury's chocolate.
Advertising.
I've tried. I only like a certain chocolate in a purple wrapper. A certain chocolate. Now, I found this company and I really like it. They do a tea cakes bar, so it's like a tonics tea cake. So it's the chocolate bar with the jam and the marshmallow in. This is one filled with cookies and cream white chocolate ganache. My favourite one that I had last week so far is the maple pancake flavoured chocolate bar. It tasted really
So
nice.
they have flavoured, specific types of flavour that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
Like popcorn and caramel as well.
Oh my God.
So that's a circus bar. I spent so much money on this company in the last few days. I'm really
You want to
starting
get
to
shares
like it.
by the sound of
But
it.
again, I've tried a certain chocolate that comes in a little ball in a red box that I absolutely hate. And there are others, so yeah, I only really like. I'm not really a chocolate person anyway, I prefer crisps. But when I do have chocolate, I have the one in the purple wrapper or this one. That's it.
Right, so it's Sleeping Giants and the Velveteen Rabbit for King. Are these mine? Yes. They're out my book. Concert tickets. And from ages ago. And Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte and Cats in Space by Cats in Space. Too Many Gods about their first album. So yeah, that's what we're going to be reviewing, and we hope to see you, hope that you will make some comments, tell us what you think. If you've read these books, let us know. We are going to be reading Into the Water in a few weeks, aren't we?
Yes, after we've got these under our belts.
Yeah, so we'll come back to you next week.
Yes, so thank you for watching, guys.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed. Hope you can't wait to see these reviews as well. We'll keep you updated on our social media again. Jo updates the Facebook page. I update the Instagram page. We put pictures on there, our star ratings and things like that. So please leave comments where you can, either down below on this video or on our pages, or send us messages and we'll always try to respond as quickly as we can. So thank you for watching, guys. Take care and don't forget, keep reading.
Bye.
Bye.